Hello, my paper peeps. Today I want to share with you fun new ways to using embossing folders for making tags. These are new and they are a must-see. So stay with me as I show you how to use canvas, acetate, and leather. Yes, and leather in your scrapbooking projects. So let's get started. So today I'm going to be using the tags from my Bohemian holiday collection, and I will be jazzing these up with the embossing folder techniques that I want to share with you today. This is what I call the Heirloom Effect. And we're going to be using one of Tim Holtz's holiday embossing folders here. I have two tags here. They usually go together. We're not going to use the backside because that's where you actually put your address to whoever you're going to give the gift to. So we're going to push that off to the side. We're going to use this top portion here. In this technique, we're going to be using the debossed side. It's a process that requires obviously the two thick plastic folders. The one raised side, which is the embossing side, that we are going to flip over. And we want the one recessed side, the debossed side, to show through the top. And the best way to find that out is really most embossing folders have their logo on the top or the embossed side of the folder. So that's the part that we don't want, the embossed side. We don't want the raised side of the folder here. So we're going to flip it over to get that depressed image shining through the tag. So once you've done that, now you want to apply your perfect medium. If you don't have that, you can use Versamark. Now, perfect pearls are pigment powders which are made up of fine granules of mica, which have actual built-in resin and binder to it. Therefore, you can use them on your paper projects either wet or dry. These powders give a really shimmery, glowy effect to your projects, and that's why I use them in a lot of my crafting. Once you've run it through the embossing machine, you'll see here the image is not raised because we flipped the folder over. It's actually depressed into the image or into the top of the tag. And the next thing you want to do is take any type of brush and you just lightly dust the perfect pearls into the depressed areas. Now, once you've covered all the surfaces, the best way to set the perfect pearls is by lightly misting it with water. You don't want to drench the paper, just a light mist, just to allow it to set. And then after that, you go in with your heating tool to dry the perfect pearls and to set the perfect pearls in place. And then you get this really cool vintage embossed, or I guess in this case debossed image that I just find adds so much character to your tags. And then decorate as you normally would. And I absolutely love raffia, so I use it in everything, whether it's wrapping my gifts with or adding as a bow to my tags. In this case, this tag will actually be used in my mini scrapbook journal, so I'm just going to tie it off in the ends here. And the back side, instead of it being used as a place to add people's names, I'm actually going to just add a little quote on the back side, or maybe a photo. This is what I call debossed embossing using acetate. Now, I'm just going to show you a simpler way of using your embossing folders with acetate, and that's really just taking a piece of acetate, cutting it down to size, and then taking the folder that you want to use and running it through like you normally would with the embossed side up to create a raised image that would cover your tag or your card image and just add a little bit of texture to the image or to your card without covering up the image behind it. So that is just a very simple way of using acetate. But if you want to add a little bit of glitz and glam to the embossed image, then this is where you actually use that whole idea of using the debossed inside to create a place where you can actually place embossing powder in. So what I'm going to do, instead of cutting this acetate down, I'm actually going to just place it in this area, and we're looking to stamp the debossed area with your Versamark. And then just run that through your embossing machine. So now what you're looking for after you've run it through your embossing machine is looking for the depressed or debossed area, so the area that isn't raised. And that is where the Versamark ink will be sitting. Once you've determined that, that is when you take your embossing powder and you generously sprinkle it into that area. Now, once you've completed that, what you want to do is take your brush and just remove any of the excess. And there should be enough powder in these little depressions that will actually stay there. What you need to do is obviously heat set them. And because it's acetate, because it's plastic, you cannot overheat your plastic. Unfortunately, it will warp extremely fast, and that's why I didn't pre-cut it to fit the tag right away, because I knew what would happen. It's inevitable, you just end up overheating. So once you start to see the curling on the outsides of the plastic, that's when you stop, and those are the areas that you cut off. Okay, the next technique is with the sticky back canvas. This one's really great. I love this because I think that this technique will match perfectly well with this Bohemian look that I want to create. And I'm gonna keep it simple. There's so many things you can do with sticky back canvas. Everything from creating backgrounds and embellishments to, if you prime it, you can prime it with gesso. It's acid-free, gosh, the glue stays quite sticky even after using wet medium with it, which is perfect. You can use a heat tool to dry the paints and the mediums, and it sticks to so many different surfaces. But for now, we're going to keep it simple. I'm just going to use 2 different inks just to give it that vintage vibe. Now, what I'm going to do is take this rusty hinge and just drag it along the top. And then I'm going to take my foam brush just to soften the edges of the rusty hinge. Now I'm going to use this embossing folder. Gosh, I got this one a long time ago. What I'm looking for is the area within the text that you want to stamp so that you actually see the actual lettering. And so in this case, it's the top part here. So I'm just going to take my walnut stain and just ink the top part there. Again, I'm trying to create that Bohemian vibe, so not a lot of the holiday colors that you may be used to. But there is rhyme and reason to why I'm doing this and creating these colors. And then what you do is you just place the canvas just like that with the inked portion directly on top of the inked portion of your canvas. And then you run that through your embossing machine. Okay. Now you have your finished product, and you're probably looking at it going, gosh, that's disgusting. But it's not. Again, we're trying to create that vintage vibe. So once you've pulled it out, you can kind of try to re-ink it a little bit more if you're not happy with the depth of the ink that you see. And now what we do is we cut up the text, and using my little finger daubers, I'm just going to ink the edges like I normally do with any of my sentiments, and then create this rustic holiday vibe that I envisioned for this project, and it actually turned out quite nicely. Now, the great thing that I love about this canvas is that you can shred the corners there and give it even more depth and definition. I guess not definition, but more of that rugged vintage look. So that's what I love about the canvas here. And you just use your finger to roughen up those edges and pull off some of those threads. Now my next technique is what I call embossed ephemera. Now, we look at embossing folders and we think, oh, you know, they're great for adding dimension. Well, if you look at a lot of embossing folders, if the images are large enough, you can actually use the images as ephemera. Now, this tag here I'm just going to decide which side I'm going to use. Now, I'm just decorating the back side. That's the to and from if I decide to use this as a gift tag. But we're going to emphasize and embellish this front part here. One of the things I love to do is not only do I love designing and decorating my home, but on my travels while I'm looking for neat wallpapers and paints and stuff, if I come across a wallpaper sample that I like this leather wallpaper sample, I don't know why anyone would put leather on their walls, but you know what, to each his own. I found this and I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to put this on my wall. I thought of this and I thought, you know what, this would be great for scrapbooking. And I asked the lady in the store if she could give me a sample of this wallpaper, and she so graciously gave me this. So sorry, it wasn't for my walls. It's for my scrapbooking. I think I've had this wallpaper sample for years now, and I thought this would be the perfect place to use it. Now I'm using an embossing folder from Couture Collections, and it's Reindeer Joy, and I'm just going to use it just for the reindeer. Emboss it, making sure that the embossed portion of the reindeer is raised, and then you cut that out. If you're new to my channel, my name is Christine and I love scrapbook journaling. More specifically, embellishing, and embellishing. I do love to journal, but boy, do I ever love to make my scrapbook journals pop. So if you're interested in this actual paper line, I'm going to put a link to that in the description box below. It's actually a scrapbook journal that you can create as a hostess gift or a gift for your friends or family. And it has frames, it has areas where you can journal. It's a small scrapbook journal, so nothing too daunting. It's the perfect size to catalog the events of the holidays. And if you're new to my channel, this is one of the great things, is that I'm constantly creating, and I will be in a paper line for maybe a month or two, and I'll just keep creating for it. So if you purchase the paper line, just stay tuned because I'm always adding something to it, whether it's another tag. In this case, last week I added journal covers to it. Next week, I'm actually going to add cards. FYI. So if you purchase the paper line, just to let you know, you'll be getting all these new additions via email. And we're not going to stop there. I love using my own DIY ephemera. And if you're interested in how I created these DIY leaves or even this DIY orange slice, then I'll put a link to that in the description box below or at the end of this video that you can access and learn how to make these. They're awesome. They look a little labor intensive, and I won't lie to you that the orange one is, but it's so much fun. And so all you have to do now is add them to your mini scrapbook journal like I am doing here. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you like more tips and tricks on how to jazz up those journals, then you'll probably want to watch this video here or here. Until we see you in those videos, I hope you have a fantastic week. Make sure you get in that craft room. I'm sure you are busy creating and blessing others with your creations. So take care and have a fabulous week. Bye.